My dad demanded I give my cabin to my sister for her wellness retreats, because young people deserve new experiences. So I said, then let her experience responsibility for once. I am 30. Need some perspective here because my family is making me feel like I'm being unreasonable about something I worked incredibly hard for. 3 years ago, I purchased a vacation cabin in the mountains about 4 hours from where I live. This wasn't some inheritance or gift. I saved for years, working 60-hour weeks at my consulting firm, living in a studio apartment, and driving a 15-year-old Honda just to make this dream happen. The cabin is my sanctuary. It's where I go to decompress after brutal work periods, where I write. I'm working on a novel, and where I can finally breathe without the constant pressure of city life and demanding clients. My father, Robert, 59 Minereal, has always had interesting ideas about fairness. Growing up, he believed in equity over equality, which usually meant my younger sister Emily, 23 First Pony, got more because she needed it more. When I was saving for college, working part-time jobs through high school, Emily got a car for her 16th birthday because girls need reliable transportation for safety. When I graduated with $40,000 in student loans, Emily's college was fully funded because we learned from our mistakes with you. I've made peace with most of this, built my own success. But apparently, that success is now the problem. Last month, Dad called me with what he presented as a reasonable request. He wants me to give Emily open access to my cabin whenever she wants it because, and I quote, young people deserve experiences more than established adults need luxury getaways. His argument is that I'm hoarding resources that could create formative memories for Emily and her friends. He actually used the phrase, wealth redistribution starts at home. I tried explaining that this isn't a luxury to me. It's my mental health retreat, my writing space, my investment. The cabin isn't just sitting empty. I use it at least 2 weekends a month, and for longer stretches when I can work remotely. But according to Dad, my recreational use is less important than Emily's developmental experiences. Emily, for context, graduated college 8 months ago with a communications degree. She's currently finding herself while living at home rentrée and working part-time at a boutique fitness studio. She posts constantly about manifesting abundance and creating space for joy, which apparently means she needs my space for her joy. The conversation got heated when I suggested that if experiences are so important, maybe Emily could save for her own cabin, like I did. Dad accused me of being materialistic and selfish, said I was gatekeeping happiness and that my scarcity mindset was preventing me from sharing my blessings. He even brought up how I should be grateful for the stability that allowed me to save in the first place, conveniently forgetting that stability came from my job, not family support. The kicker? He ended the call by saying he's disappointed in the man I've become and that my mother, who passed 5 years ago, would be heartbroken to see me choosing property over people. That felt like a punch to the gut. Mom always understood my need for solitude and space. She's actually the one who encouraged me to save for something that would bring me peace. I haven't responded to his follow-up texts about reconsidering my stance. Emily has started posting passive-aggressive Instagram stories about family members who forget where they came from and the difference between successful and significant. My Aunt Nancy called to say I'm being discussed at family gatherings as the selfish nephew who won't share his toys. So, Reddit. Am I the A for not giving my sister open access to the cabin I worked years to afford? Or am I really being the materialistic gatekeeper my father says I am? Edit to clarify some questions. Yes, I've let Emily use the cabin before. Twice, actually. Both times, she assured me it would be just her and maybe one friend for a quiet weekend. Both times I came up later to find evidence of parties, empty bottles everywhere, burn marks on my deck from a hookah, and my neighbor mentioning the all-night rage. She did clean up, but that's not the point. Edit 2. The cabin is fully paid off. I bought it in cash to avoid mortgage stress. This apparently makes me even more selfish, according to Dad, since I don't even have payments to worry about. Update 1. Posted 3 weeks later. Well, Reddit, you called it. The situation has exploded exactly as many of you predicted. After my original post, I decided to take your advice and have one more calm conversation with my father. I prepared talking points, practiced staying unemotional, and even offered a compromise. Emily could use the cabin once a month with advance notice, a cleaning deposit, and a signed agreement about respecting the property. I thought I was being more than reasonable. Dad's response: "The fact that you need a contract with your own sister shows how far you've fallen from family values." He refused to even discuss it, so I held firm. I told him the cabin was off limits without my explicit permission for each visit, and that permission would include ground rules. I thought that was the end of it. Last weekend, I decided to head up to the cabin for some writing time. I've been dealing with a particularly difficult client and needed the peace. Imagine my surprise when I pulled up to find 8 cars in my driveway and the distinct sound of music thumping from inside my house. I walked in to find Emily hosting what can only be described as an Instagram-worthy wellness retreat. There were at least 15 people there, yoga mats everywhere, crystals on every surface. And someone had set up a makeshift photography studio in my living room. My kitchen was being used for some kind of juice cleanse workshop. And there were people I'd never met before doing breathwork exercises on my deck. Emily's reaction when she saw me: "Oh my God, James, you're manifesting negative energy right now. We're in the middle of a sacred space activation." I lost it. I told everyone they had 30 minutes to clear out. Emily tried to argue that Dad said it was fine, that I was being spiritually blocked and needed to open my heart chakra to abundance. One of her friends actually tried to sage me while I was calling the police. The damage. Oh, let me list it. Someone burned incense directly on my handmade coffee table, leaving permanent marks. And my bathroom was covered in what I hope was a face mask, but looked like someone had tried to replicate Pollock. They'd moved my furniture to improve the energy flow, as someone had used my cast iron skillet, seasoned for years, to burn some kind of herbs. They'd gone through my personal items, including my writing desk, where I keep my novel drafts. For the final insult, they posted photos all over social media with my cabin tagged as Emily's Mountain Retreat. But the real kicker was the hot tub. My beautiful, carefully maintained hot tub was now a murky soup of essential oils, flower petals, and God knows what else. The filter was completely clogged, and there was a crystal grid at the bottom that had scratched the surface. I documented everything and sent Emily an itemized bill for $3,400 in damages and deep cleaning. Her response was to post on Facebook about how money is just energy, and some people value things over experiences. Dad called within hours of her post. Was he apologetic? Did he offer to help with damages? No. He was furious with me for humiliating Emily in front of her wellness community. He said I had traumatized her by making her feel unwelcome in a space that should be about family. He actually used the phrase, "What would it cost you to just let this go?" I told him it would cost me $3,400 plus the principal of the matter. His response? "I didn't raise you to be this petty." The family explosion has been nuclear. Emily's version of events, which he shared with everyone who will listen, is that she was hosting a healing circle for burnt-out young professionals, and I violently disrupted their safe space. She's conveniently leaving out the trespassing, property damage, and complete disrespect for my boundaries. My Aunt Nancy called to inform me that I'm no longer welcome at Thanksgiving unless I apologize to Emily for making her feel like a criminal in front of her friends. My cousin Mark texted to say I'm everything wrong with capitalism. The only family support I've gotten is from my Uncle Stephen, who texted, "Your dad pulled the same with me over my boat 20 years ago. Stand your ground." I'm typing this from my cabin, where I'm spending the weekend doing repairs and deep cleaning. The hot tub repair guy laughed when he saw the crystal grid and said, "This is the 3rd wellness retreat damage he's seen this month." Apparently, I'm not alone in dealing with entitled family members who think spiritual awakening exempts them from respecting property rights. Emily still hasn't responded to my invoice. Dad has informed me that we'll be addressing this as a family, which I'm pretty sure means I'll be ambushed at the next gathering. I've already decided I won't be attending any family events until this is resolved. The thing that hurts most. I found my novel manuscript out of order with coffee rings on several pages. That's months of work disrespected. But sure, I'm the bad guy for not wanting my sanctuary turned into a backdrop for Instagram wellness influence. We'll update again if anything develops. For now, I'm installing security cameras and changing the locks.
Family values my ass. Update 2. Posted 6 weeks later. Reddit.
I thought the wellness retreat fiasco was peak family drama. I was wrong. The last 6 weeks have been a masterclass in manipulation, and I'm honestly stunned at how far this has gone. First, the invoice I sent Emily. Of course she didn't pay it. What she did instead was create a GoFundMe titled Help a Young Entrepreneur Recover from Family Financial Abuse. She claimed I was weaponizing wealth to silence her spiritual practice, and that the charges were fabricated to prevent her from building her wellness business. She raised $800 before I caught wind of it and had it taken down for fraud. Guess who contributed? Dad, Aunt Mancy, and several family members who've been calling me selfish. But that was just the appetizer to the main course of manipulation. 2 weeks ago, Dad invited me to lunch at our usual spot, a quiet diner we've been going to since I was a kid. I should have known something was up when he insisted on that specific place. It's where he told me about divorcing Mom. She passed from cancer a year later, where he announced his retirement, where all our big talks happen. He started with small talk, asked about work, seemed genuinely interested in my novel progress. Then he hit me with, "Son, I've been doing a lot of thinking about legacy and what we leave behind."
My stomach dropped.
Here it comes. He pulled out an actual folder like he had prepared a presentation. Inside were a Zillow listings of other properties more suitable for a single man, articles about the healing power of nature for young adults, a bizarre spreadsheet comparing utilization rates showing I only use the cabin 8 days a month versus Emily's potential use of 20-plus days. Legal documents about property transfer within families. His proposal: I should transfer ownership of the cabin to Emily, and he would make it worth my while by giving me $50,000 toward a more practical investment property. The cabin is worth at least $400,000 in today's market. When I laughed, actually laughed at the absurdity, he shifted tactics. "You clearly don't appreciate what you have," he said. "Emily brings joy and life to that space. You use it to hide from the world. Your mother would want that cabin filled with laughter and healing, not used as some hermit's cave." I stood up to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. "James, think about this. You're 30, unmarried, no kids. What legacy are you building? Emily is creating a community, building something meaningful. That cabin could be the foundation of something beautiful, instead of your private brooding ground." The words that came out of my mouth next surprised even me. Mom left me her engagement ring to give to my future wife. Should I hand that over to Emily too, since she'd probably use it more? After all, I'm just a hermit who doesn't deserve nice things until I'm using them the way you approve of. His face went purple. Apparently, Mom's ringing is different because it's sentimental, not practical. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level, but here's where it gets truly insane. This week, I received an email from a lawyer. Not a formal letter, just a friendly heads up that Emily and Dad are exploring options regarding the equitable distribution of family assets, and that I might want to consider mediation before things get complicated. I forwarded it to my own lawyer, thank God for retainers through work, who basically said they have no case, but are probably hoping to intimidate me into settling. He also discovered something interesting. Emily has been advertising summer wellness retreats at Mountain Haven on her Instagram business page. She's already taking bookings for my cabin that she doesn't own, starting at $300 per person per weekend. The family fallout has been nuclear. I'm apparently now the reason this family is falling apart. Cousin Sarah called to tell me Emily cries at every family gathering about how I'm denying her purpose. Uncle David sent a long text about how possessions are just things, and I should think about what really matters. You know what really matters? The sunrise I watch from my deck while editing chapters. The silence that lets me actually hear my thoughts. The peace I've earned after years of grinding in a career that funds not just my life, but contributes to family emergencies whenever they arise. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that part. Guess who helped pay for Emily's car repairs last year? Or contributed to Dad's medical bills when his insurance fell short. But I'm selfish because I won't hand over my legally purchased, personally maintained, fully paid off property to someone who thinks essential oils in a hot tub is reasonable. The latest development. I got a call from my neighbor near the cabin. Someone tried to access the property last weekend. The new locks and security system worked. I have lovely footage of Emily trying multiple keys and then attempting to jimmy a window while her boyfriend kept lookout. When that failed, they had the audacity to ask my neighbor if he had a spare key because they were family, just trying to enjoy the space. I've sent a cease and desist letter. I've also begun the process of putting the cabin into an LLC to add another layer of legal protection. My lawyer says I should consider a restraining order if the trespassing continues. But here's the part that really breaks my heart. Among Mom's things, I found a letter she wrote me, but never sent. It was dated a month before she died. In it, she wrote about how proud she was that I was building something steady and real, and how she hoped I'd find a place where I could write in peace and find the solitude your soul needs. She knew. She understood. And now, Dad's using her memory to guilt me into giving up the very thing she would have celebrated. So, that's where we are. I'm the family villain who values property over people. Emily's the victim denied her calling. Dad's the righteous patriarch trying to restore family harmony. And I'm sitting in my hermit cave, working on my novel, and accepting that sometimes the price of peace is distance from those who don't respect your boundaries. We'll update if anything else develops, but honestly, I hope this is the end of it. I've got a thriller to finish writing, and frankly, living this family drama has given me plenty of material. Final update, posted 2 months later. Reddit. I know you've been asking for updates, and I finally have the bandwidth to write this. Grab a beverage, because this is going to be long. The last 2 months have been a whirlwind of legal drama, family revelations, and honestly, some of the best decision-making of my life. First, the legal situation. Emily actually went through with trying to sue me. Her grounds: intentional infliction of emotional distress and unjust enrichment. Her lawyer, a friend from her yoga class who just passed the bar, argued that by purchasing the cabin, I had created an expectation of family access, and that denying this access was causing Emily severe emotional and financial harm, as she had built her wellness business around the cabin location. My lawyer literally laughed when he read their filing. Their case fell apart spectacularly in mediation when Emily admitted on record that as she had never contributed financially to the cabin, I had never promised her access, as she had started advertising retreats before even asking me. The emotional distress was feeling unsupported in her spiritual journey. The mediator suggested she might want to withdraw before this went to actual court. She did, but not before trying to negotiate a compromise where she get the cabin for all of June, July, and August. When I declined, she accused me of spiritual violence. The mediator's face was priceless, but the real bombshell came from an unexpected source. Dad's girlfriend, Patricia. Yes, you read that right. My father, who's been playing the grieving widower card while guilt-tripping me with Mom's memory, has been dating Patricia for 3 years. She reached out to me privately after what she called the most embarrassing dinner of my life, where Dad spent 2 hours ranting about my selfishness to his golf buddies. Patricia revealed some fascinating information. Dad has been funding Emily's lifestyle way beyond what I knew. We're talking $3,000 plus monthly. He refinanced his house to pay for Emily's business ventures, including a failed jewelry line, abandoned food truck, and now this wellness retreat idea. He's been telling Patricia that I'm loaded from tech money. I work in consulting, not tech, and don't need family support. And the kicker? He's been planning to move in with Patricia, but hasn't told Emily because he's worried she'll feel abandoned. Patricia also shared that she's been pushing him to make Emily get a real job, and that their relationship is strained because of his enabling. She said, "I raised 3 kids who all work for what they have. I don't understand why Robert thinks Emily deserves a free ride through life." This information changed everything. I realized this isn't about the cabin. It's about Dad projecting his guilt over his secret relationship and overcompensating with Emily. The cabin just became the battlefield for their dysfunction. Armed with this knowledge, I made some decisions. 1. I hired a property management company to handle the cabin. They now have strict instructions that no one accesses the property without written authorization from me. Period. 2. I installed a comprehensive security system with cameras that alert my phone immediately if anyone approaches. The footage backs up to the cloud, so even if someone damages the cameras, I have evidence. 3. I sent a formal letter to the entire family stating that anyone who attempts to access my property without permission will be prosecuted for trespassing. No exceptions. 4. I blocked Emily on all social media platforms after she posted a video energetically cleansing herself of toxic family members who choose greed over growth. 5. Most importantly, I decided to take a sabbatical from work and spend 3 months at the cabin writing. Just me, my novel, and the mountains. The family response was swift and predictable. I'm now officially uninvited from all family gatherings. Aunt Nancy sent a long message about how I've chosen isolation over inclusion. Cousin Mark called me a capitalist sociopath. The family group chat, which I'm still mysteriously part of, has been a stream of passive-aggressive memes about sharing and family values. But here's the beautiful thing. I don't care anymore. The sabbatical has been transformative. Without the constant family drama, I've written 60,000 words. My novel is shaping up beautifully. I've met my neighbors properly. Turns out they're a retired couple who've dealt with their own entitled family members. We have dinner once a week, and they've become the peaceful, drama-free company I didn't know I needed. Last week, something happened that felt like cosmic justice. I got a call from Patricia. Emily had thrown a massive tantrum when she found out about Dad's relationship, accusing him of betraying Mom's memory. The irony is delicious. She's now giving him the silent treatment and has moved in with her boyfriend. Dad is apparently devastated that his precious Emily won't speak to him. Patricia asked if I'd consider talking to him. I said I'd think about it. I did think about it. While sitting on my deck watching the sunrise, drinking coffee from my kitchen in my energetically unoptimized but perfectly peaceful cabin, I decided the answer is no. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because I've learned something these past few months. Family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about respect, boundaries, and mutual support. And sometimes the best thing you can do for your mental health is to step away from people who only see you as a resource to be exploited. My novel's first draft is almost done. It's a thriller about a man who discovers his perfect life is built on lies, and he has to decide whether to maintain the facade or burn it all down for the truth. Write what you know, right? Uncle Stephen visited last weekend. We didn't talk about the family drama. We went fishing, grilled steaks, and sat in the properly maintained hot tub, discussing his upcoming retirement. Before he left, he said, "You know, your mom would be proud. Not because you kept the cabin, because you kept your boundaries." That meant more than any family gathering invitation ever could. So, that's where we are, Reddit. I'm the family pariah, with a thriving writing practice, a peaceful retreat, and 0 regrets. Emily's wellness business has mysteriously gone quiet since she can't use my cabin for free. Dad's dealing with the consequences of his enabling and deception. And I'm living proof that sometimes the best response to toxic family dynamics is geographic and emotional distance. Thank you all for following this journey. Your support and advice kept me sane when I was doubting myself. I'll pop back in if anything major happens, but honestly, I'm hoping for nothing but quiet mountainside mornings and productive writing sessions from here on out. Remember, your boundaries are valid. Your property is yours, and anyone who tries to guilt you into giving up what you've earned by invoking family values is showing you exactly what they value, and it isn't you. Peace out from my hermit cave. I've got a thriller to finish. Edit. Since everyone's asking, yes, the novel is getting published. A literary agent reached out after a mutual friend mentioned I was writing. She loved the first 3 chapters. Turns out isolation and family drama make for excellent creative fuel. The working title? Blood Writes. Sometimes Life Writes Itself.